welcome everybody. This will be the When We Cry Data Archives.
Yeah.
This is a new category that we finally made. We have been waiting for this day for so long now, didn't we? I feel like we have been talking about doing a data archive for like the longest time possible. And then finally, I guess, the anime that we should not be spoken about has finally ended, and we don't have to make episodes about that anymore. Welcome to our Ciconia read-through. So, a few things established before we start the episode and start introducing people. The Ciconia Data Archives, what we were actually going to do, instead of basically being a regular read-through, we will not have a spoiler section and a non-spoiler section anymore, since there's only phase 1 that's out. That's the only one we're reading. I hope if you're listening to this, you have already finished reading all of phase 1. It's not a lot of time. It's 20 hours, I think. It's pretty short.
It took me over a year to read.
Yeah. However, another really big thing is we're going to have full-on Higurashi and Umineko spoilers in here.
But when we do, it's gonna be at the end of the episode, and we're gonna warn you. So
Yes.
Don't worry.
Because I honestly don't know how did you get to the nook of this like little crook of like reading Ciconia without reading both Higurashi and Umineko, but like, yeah, we will warn you when it's happening, so don't worry about it. I guess I will be the one hosting. This is Mushroom, your friendly neighborhood of Mushroom.
I don't know if I'm next. I'm like literally under 3 winter blankets, and my laptop is outside, and I'm fucking blinded. So I'm just gonna assume I'm next. I'm Des. Hello.
Hello, hola, bonjour, or whatever the Portuguese say. I'm Horsecam.
It's a lot.
Hello, I'm the American super offensive Yensid.
Oh,
Sure.
please don't be offensive on the episode.
Wink.
And then there's me, Sayome. Hallo, guten Morgen.
Good.
Yeah, so since everybody finished their introductions, I imagine you guys can notice on screen right now we have beautiful gauntlets that are drawn by Des. Everybody clap, clap.
I would clap if I could.
Yay!
I am also unable to move under these 3 layers of winter blankets. I am in vegetative state.
This is slowly suffocating in the episode.
I am.
so-
I actually am.
So yeah, so let's talk about the gauntlets we have. Who wants to go first? Should we go in the same order that we have introduced ourselves?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, since my color scheme was more like fall-ish, like, I don't know, mushroom is very nature-y. So, I asked Des to be like, hey, could you just do like some like shiny leaves? And Des did a really good job. Like, I like the reddish color. It's good. It's 10 out of 10. It will kill.
I also like the autumn color palette. Like, you can't go wrong with an autumn color palette.
Yeah, very, like, this is a word that I recently learned, but it's autumnal, which means, like, autumn, but, like, because it sounds such, like, automata, so, like, my friend and I keep saying, you're autumnal now for
Oh,
fun.
damn.
Autumnal. Like, it's just weird.
Well, I guess I'm next. Okay, so since I'm Des, hello, I'm Des. So my name comes from Dwanner, who says Des. So I decided to implement Des. So my gauntlet comes from Dwanner. This is fucking stupid. I was trying to do something funny. It's not working out. Obviously my nickname comes from Dwanner, who is from Umineko. If you haven't read Umineko yet, go fucking read it. Just fucking shit on Ciconia and go read Umineko. So she
Damn.
has a fucking gauntlet, and when I found out Ciconia characters have gauntlets, I was like, what the fuck? This came from Dwanner. So obviously, I'm gonna be using Dwanner's gauntlet.
I came with my gauntlet after such long thinking. I was like, I think, because I have a great pink shirt that's very great, and everyone loves it. I was like, I need something that's like kind of this reddish color, and I thought, oh, roses are really nice. I really like roses. If I go more into the thorn theme and have it more like a wild rose as opposed to like a curated rose. It's like I'm wild.
Whoa.
I'm wild yet very pretty.
That's disgusting.
What? How is it disgusting?
Yeah. But I do really like your gauntlet, Horsecam. I think all of our gauntlets go really well with our color schemes. I think they're great.
I mean, except one. I'm kidding.
What?
We'll look at
Shit
that.
now.
Yeah, because my gauntlet At first I was thinking I'd have my gauntlet be like Lil Mac's Love, but then I realized that we weren't changing the rest of our sprite, and if I wasn't Lil Mac with a hoodie, then it wasn't worth it. So I thought, what's the dumbest thing I could have as my gauntlet?
Oh,
now I know. An entire car.
So like when Yancy was telling me about his idea, he was like, "Okay, I have an idea, but it might sound a little dumb." And I was like, "Bro, have you seen the AOU gauntlets?" And then he just said he wanted a car, and I was like,
Actually, just kidding. That was way stupider than I thought it was gonna be. It honestly looks so good. I love it. It's so funny.
Well, the reasons I went with the Daytona car is because I really like the soundtrack of Daytona USA. It's perfect. And I find the Daytona car very funny just because it is a character in a Sega fighting game where the Daytona car just stands upright with its back wheels as just floating little Rayman legs, punching people with its front wheels. And there's this one Sonic kart, or Sonic Roboblast 2 kart character, or unofficial mod character that I really like. That's just the Daytona car, but it isn't the car. It's the car sitting vertically upright in a cart.
Yeah, that blocks like half the screen.
So I thought I'd just continue the tradition of putting the Daytona car where it doesn't fucking belong.
So it's a car driving a car?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, I can post the image again.
Okay, sounds legit.
Okay, my gauntlet is literally just a dual disc because like I could not like let this opportunity go to waste because it just fits perfectly.
It does.
Like it's just really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically, mine is from like Yuto from Yu-Gi-Oh! ARC-V because the motherfucker is so cool and I like the color. I mean, it'd be cool if I could have like cards in there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Pendulum is the best deck. Okay, we can continue.
Okay, so yeah, Des did a really good job making all of these not cars.
We're cars now.
These gauntlets, and it's really great, and I'm really happy. So we are now going to start covering Ciconia. Are everybody ready?
Yay!
Yo, we got Ryokishi work, Poggers.
Yes, I'm excited. It's really funny because I just listened to you guys' log episode yesterday, and then I was listening to how like Des was saying like sometimes I just wake up and think about like did Ryukishi just wrote like Umineko as a fluke? Like, is it possible that he just wrote the masterpiece with like being an idiot? And then I'm just like, I don't know, man. Ciconia was really good.
Was it though?
It is.
Ciconia is good. Fuck you.
I've always thought that your guys' like descent into was Ryukishi ever good? Is Ryukishi a hack? Is just weird when he has like the evidence to show that he is very much not a hack.
Cope.
Yeah, he has good writing.
I think it might be that Ryukishi is like more of a hard work writer than a naturally talented writer. Like he's not a kind of Stephen King type that'll just like shit out a book on a weekend and it'll be good on like its own merits. He has to like think about fucking everything to craft the best story. Mm-hmm. But if he just writes something on autopilot, it's shit.
That's actually a really good way to see it, yeah.
Yeah, because I think Umineko had, like, multiple drafts. Because, like, the whole episode 2 thing, where, like, the original episode 3. Yeah, the whole episode 3 thing was completely different than what it was originally was.
I mean, this isn't about Umineko. This isn't about Umineko.
Yes, so, I guess, I don't know why, but I'll put this content warning, lots of politics and lots of religion.
Trigger warning.
For this whole podcast category, we're gonna go really hard about politics, because if you didn't read Ciconia and you didn't like politics, like, then what is there to even read about Ciconia anymore?
True.
What? Excuse me?
Can we have, like, one of those trigger warnings, like, from, like, one of those old, like, YouTubers who, like, say the worst shit?
Oh my gosh,
It's like,
up.
this is my opinion, screw off, like, you softies.
No, shut up.
Anyway, so, okay,
No
let's start.
liberals allowed from this point on.
Okay, that is space.
So yes, so this whole Ciconia starts with the prologue. So the prologue starts with like a very cool like propaganda video where you go zoom zoom, and then an AOU boy with like a gauntlet is flying in the air, like the super cool video directed by like Michael Bay with like lots of explosions. So this video introduced like lots of like sci-fi words like that just sounds really cool, like words like AMS or like dimensional pocket or I don't know.
Dimensional container.
Yeah.
Yeah, dimensional container.
And Okonogi.
Yes, and Okonogi. So yeah, so the video ends with like the call to action where like the young boys and girls come and join and become a Gauntlet Knight. So like I was actually thinking like while I was reading that scene, I was thinking we should totally draw like this image of like I want you to join the army,
Uncle
like you
Sam.
know the Sams, but it's like Okonogi pointing at you and telling you to become a Gauntlet Knight. Like, you know.
I want you to explode like you're in a microwave because you can control the 8MS.
Yes, so all of these like old officers really like how cool the video is and how hip it's gonna be with the kids. Like Okonogi notes about how like the capability of all the gauntlets are actually very theoretical, and there's a lot of scary things that could happen when you're flying a gauntlet. How like the boy's like eyes exploded while he was like flying around during like the ricochet flying thing, and how like dimensional containers like will just explode on like I guess like just randomly.
Yeah, I really like this segment because
Same.
like the gauntlets are such a ridiculous tool, and this section from the start you get introduced to how dangerous it is and how high the stakes are for people utilizing them, even though they are used so frequently throughout the story. Just goes to show you how OP these characters are.
Yeah, it's really funny because in the end of this whole like segment, like there's an old like officer is like, yes, I would like to dine with the boy in this propaganda video. Come, tell me where he is so I can go fondle this boy. And then Okonogi is like, oh, that boy, he like perished in the line of duty. While like actually, if you like after that, like in the narration of the story, it tells you like, oh, that boy actually died in the end of filming that video, and like that's where the explosion comes from. Which I thought was like a very cool, very interesting tidbit because, you know, it's kind of morbid to basically watch a whole like very cool propaganda video and learn that like the moment you see like the very cool explosion and like you see like the come join the army, and then it's actually just like the kid's last video, you know, because he's dead now.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's really realistic and cool.
That's how you start phase 1, but after phase 1 you actually get a few screenshots because one of the first screenshots you get, it says, "Warning, this work is created in Japan in the year 2019. We cannot guarantee that the possession of this work in the country you currently live in
conforms to your country's current laws."
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So it's so pretentious.
Furthermore, if possession of this work results in any sort of damage, we cannot be held responsible for compensation. So that's the first one.
It's so pretentious because, like, for the first person, the like politics are just so fucking centrist anyway. Like, oh, first these people were against war, now they're for war. How pathetic, blah blah blah. But I mean,
yeah, I mean, we'll talk a lot about Ciconia's politics. I do think like half of it is very interesting, and half of them is very like the both sides bad horseshoe theory. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So another thing it just says, additionally, distributing this work on the internet without creation's consent is forbidden. You must agree to pay us 10 billion Japanese yen if you break this rule,
Yeah.
which I thought was pretty funny.
It's like in every Ryukishi game.
Oh yeah, I read that and it was like, oh, I'm going to jail if I upload this in Japan. Good thing I downloaded this.
If you do not agree to take personal responsibility, we'll ask you to uninstall immediately. And then I think the last one is what's really funny.
Yeah.
It's the one that says, "This is a work of fiction. Any similarities to the real world, individual groups, religions, all of creation, the will of the universe, the plan of God, the Vatican document number 34 are entirely coincidental."
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Like, it's such a memey, like a like the will of God. But like at the same time, I will have to say, Ryukishi wrote like a script, and then Jesus read it, and God read it, and was like, "This is what we're gonna do for 2020 now."
True.
Just saying.
Yeah. He'd be like giving content warnings for how this story is not taken from God's plan, and then it was actually God taking ideas from Ryukishi's plan.
Yeah, no joke. So it says this work does not approve of any specific ideology,
Fucking pussy.
nor does it represent the ideology of its creators.
Pussy.
Sam.
But also, like, the Vatican document 34 thing is just like,
Why?
we still don't fucking know what that means. It's fucking stupid.
It really goes to show you how the fucking anime that must not be named soured our opinion of this shit. Because when I read this for the first time a year ago, I was like, yo, it's the funny 34 number. And I'm just like, what fucking damn it, Ryukishi, not this fucking bullshit again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's really sad because I actually read Ciconia like probably in July because I was honestly like soured by my whole experience of like not thinking about like Sko and Sotsu, and then I read Ciconia and I was like, wow, this is so good. Like, what the fuck?
I think there's another screenshot, but I don't know if it's still in the game.
Yes. There's a screenshot.
Banned the whole Let's Play thing.
Oh, they didn't ban the whole Let's Play. So
No, yeah, they did the Persona 5 of what they
Yes, they did the Persona 5 thing, which just says, to all the video uploaders, for the first phase, you have permission to record and distribute the video up to until the end of the 7th chapter. Poyo. I'll let you know when you get there. Poyo. So far, for every single like person I have been watching on like YouTube, I watched 2 playthroughs of Ciconia. Everybody has like basically ended at chapter 7.
Yeah.
So like, so yeah, people have been fairly good about it. So I can tell you that.
Is there, like, any actual way that Ryukishi has to take things down, or is it just just an honor thing?
He will come to your house with a Gauntlet Knight.
Yeah, he will fucking come with your house with a shotgun being like, take the video down.
Because, like, Atlas, they can just pull your shit down, our company, but I don't know if Ryukishi has that.
I don't think Ryukishi really cares, but I feel like Ryukishi's doing this as a more of a credit system. Like, not credit system, like as in like a goodwill, like...
Also, I don't know if that's still in effect now, because it's been like 2 years since that came out.
Why would it not be?
No, it's been 2 years since Ciconia Phase 1 came out.
So?
There's no time limit on it.
Are you pulling a Sakurai and being like, oh yes, Xenoblade has been out for 10 years, so it's fine to spoil that this character actually didn't die. Like, fuck off.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying video. It's fine. I think you'd be fine to upload videos past Chapter 7.
Okay, but why? There's no time limit on it.
I just think, like, so far, everybody who has been uploading hasn't done more uploading, and unless we want to do a whole-ass playthrough of Ciconia, then we could talk about it then.
Maybe if it was like a joke thing, but not actual playthrough of Ciconia.
You could do a speed run.
Just hold control.
No, I already did that once.
Yeah, I remember.
So, let's start. We have a lot more to cover. So, we see Meow standing on the top of the Super Tokyo Tower, and I think, Salome, you noticed that, like, it says the Super Tokyo Tower is 666.
Yeah,
like,
666 meters. Like, when I first read that, I was like, okay, this guy's the devil. Like, actually.
Yeah, so Meow is just standing there jumping off the top of a building like he's recreating the ending of... Just kidding. And he talks about how the new world of A3W, which is after World War III, Tokyo, and how it's the city now belongs to young people, and how and this really cool steampunk city is run on this new fuel called spiritum.
Spiritium.
Is it called spiritum?
I call it spiritium.
Spiritium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tium.
Yeah, Tium. Is it not Tium?
Spiritium.
Spiritium?
Yeah.
It is Tium. So, which expels like a large white cloud of mist whenever it's used. So,
Yeah.
it's the same idea as that the gauntlets also run on Spiritum. So, whenever they take a sharp corner, it looks like a white mist, like a white feather is going behind them. So it's very cool and visually cool.
And because Ciconia has been out for so fucking long, the theory that Spiritium is actually human corpses from the Third World War isn't even a theory anymore. It's just acquired knowledge of anyone in this fandom.
Yeah. I don't think it's corpses, but the souls, but yeah.
Or
yeah,
that.
I think it's souls because it's spirits.
Yeah.
You know.
The human body's mostly made out of water, so I think it fits with the white vapor thing.
Oh, that's true. That's a very cool way to think about it.
I've not understood much of Ciconia because I was told that we were going to record the first episode of this on this day, and I had not finished Ciconia, so I finished the last third or fourth of Ciconia yesterday, and have not had any time to reread the beginning, or make much interpretations, and it's a little hard for me to follow the plot a lot of the time, so whoa, Spirituum is humans was new to me.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk a lot more about that. I think right now we're just scratching the surface. There's more times we're gonna talk about Spiritum.
Yeah, I think it would be talk about it when we go into a certain character.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Well, Yancey, that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't read the first 3/4 of Ciconia a year ago. But anyway, I was gonna talk about the new Tokyo because I really like the aesthetic. It's like this sci-fi, but at the same time steampunky city with like Japanese style buildings and Vatican era buildings like together, and like at night they're just
It's a Final Fantasy city.
Yeah.
yeah, except the color palette, it's so warm. It's red, purple, yellows. It just looks so fucking nice.
Yeah.
And then like Miao says this thing about, he says, Tokyo has looked like this since the day I was born. Why should I give a damn about ancient Tokyo those damn adults long for so much? And then I was reading this and I was like, this is just such a nice, I guess, nod to Rose Guns Days, because this is basically the theme of Rose Guns Days, like the conflict of the generations and how they like keeping traditions and stuff. And I just thought that was really nice.
Yeah, I was also gonna say that's actually really interesting you mentioned that, because basically saying like who cares about the Tokyo of yesterdays is basically also kind of the point of Ciconia, where like we're jumping ahead of ourselves, but the idea of like all of these kids of AOU don't have any connections to the past because they don't have any connections to their family, so on and so forth. And I think that's real. Yes, I also do really like the city, how he describes it is super interesting, and all the billboards and all the weird shit that people could buy. I think it's fairly
Yeah.
cool.
Also, can I say something? I think I forgot something. Because like we talked about the Super Tokyo Tower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like it was like 666 meters long. And like just yesterday I just found out that like the normal Tokyo Tower in Japan right now is 333 meters long.
Oh,
Yeah, isn't the Tokyo Tower supposed to be like used for communications? Maybe they needed a wider range, and so they
Yeah.
added
Maybe.
more height or something.
well, basically, Miao is like flying this guy, having a good time. He gets this message on his mental display, like a little frog character pops on, and it's Keropoyo! And Keropoyo is like, Keropoyo, Keropoyo. You have a friend arriving, so... A friend has arrived, Poyo. So, you know, that is a line that's gonna haunt me to my nightmares
Same.
now. So a friend has arrived, and it's the Jaden man.
It's best boy!
Let's
It's
go.
best boy! I love that image of me hanging out with my best boy.
True.
Yeah, so it's super genius, Jaden. We both Des and I
Super cringe, Jaden.
super cringe Jaden, yes. I guess only Horsecam alone loves Jaden.
No, I like him.
Kirby likes.
Oh, Salome also likes Jaden? Well, I guess Des and I don't like Jaden. So we get to fight about it later.
And I guess Yancey hasn't had enough time.
I think I'd probably like leaning a bit more towards don't like him, but I think he's fine.
Okay. Since Jaden showed up in front of Meow, they decided to go fight in the Denny's parking lot. Very cool anime fight scene.
It wasn't in the Denny's parking lot. It was in the air above the Denny's. Oh, excuse you.
In the Denny's airspace.
They're fighting above the Melty Blood tournament.
So they do very cool anime fight scene while they be like, and then they're like, and I was in front of you, and then actually, JK, let me teleport behind you, like, you know, like the...
Teleports behind you.
Yes, while the fucking awful ass 2003 looking ass missile animations that made VN cost $40 play.
That's
yes.
not even 2003.
Thank you, Ryukishi, for artificially rising the price of this stupid ass fucking VN with that shit. Thank you very much.
I love those production values. I just love pre-render looking shit, and you don't see things that look like that much anymore.
It looks like shit, and it breaks the, like, you know when you hold control and then the text
I
just,
like it.
and then the text just goes super fast. Those stupid fucking animations don't skip. It interrupts the skip forwarding.
But I think the visual effects are great. Some of them are look like stuff you would find on an old iPhone's visual effects app.
Yes, that's not something I want to find on a
You
VN.
ever had the Mission Impossible iPhone camera game where you would get you would take pictures of your friends with rocks falling on them?
Okay, do you want it to Do you want it to look worse? Because this is like the Ryukishi sprites of 3D models.
Yes.
So it fits perfectly.
Okay, I take back what I said.
That's actually really smart.
But Ryukishi's sprites in this one look pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't just him doing it.
I think they honestly made... I think he was the one who drew it, but I think other people helped him color it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think it's like he did the line work. And
Yeah.
other people, like, made the coloring presentable.
It looks so good! It looks so good!
Yeah.
Everybody looks so good.
Like, I dread, like, if they do, like, a PS3 sprite stuff of it.
Yeah, I don't want a PS3 sprite of it.
I really don't even know what they're going to do for, like, an upgraded version of
Voices.
Ciconia, because it feels like he's already trying to reach kind of that point
Yeah.
of the PS3 sprite update, but just on the first time.
And it looks so good! It looks so good.
I do think voice acting would be really cool, though.
Yeah, but, like, I don't know how they would do voice acting. I think I don't know how they might do it. Just have everyone speak one language and just say, oh, it's the funny little thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you could basically say, like, everybody's speaking Japanese because this is from Meow's perspective, and everybody's speaking Japanese because it automatically translates with the semicon. Like, that's super
Yeah,
easy
but the
to
only
say
issue
that.
is if they do something later in a phase where they do it from, like, a different character perspective, like Jaden's.
How would you know that?
Yeah, like, there's a scene in, like Breath of the Beal's perspective, right? Later on.
Oh, true.
And, like, that wouldn't be in Japanese.
Honestly, it might be nice if they just, like, did a Tekken where everyone's just speaking their own language and you just be like, oh, they're all the text is just what is auto-translated, and that's what they're actually speaking.
Damn, I think that's the best way to do
He
it.
doesn't have the budget for that.
Yeah, that's a lot of work because they would have to pay actors to record that because I don't think they have, like, people who speak Polish in Japan that are professional actors.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and-
Horse Game, we're already paying $40. We're already paying the full price of the whole of Umineko for a single phase. I think we deserve a bit more content, you know?
We're playing less than Umineko.
Yeah,
Like $10 less.
Okay, wow.
So they fly on top of Denny's parking lot. They keep fighting, and then it ends with them basically doing the very anime fighty thing where two people run at each other, or I guess fly at each other with their arm reach out to punch each other. And then due to Meow's being a short king status, he loses because his arm's not long enough.
Oh.
So Meow basically explains how he could totally beat Jaden's ass, and then that basically, like, Meow gives a lot of really good criticisms, and then Jaden's like, yeah, you know, like, he's, like, kind of stingy about compliments, but he gives really good constructive criticisms. And then we're basically, after that, we get introduced to more friends that are incoming.
The rest of the war cats.
Yeah, the rest of the war cats.
Grave Mole.
Yeah, we get introduced Gunhild, which is my queen. I love Gunhild. And then we also introduced to Grave Mold, which is Chloe. We get introduced to Chloe, Lilia, and Koshka.
Koshka.
Yeah.
Koshka!
Yay!
Fun fact, Koshka literally just means cat in Russian.
Aw.
Fun fact, I have a headcanon where Koshka just talks like this. Hello, I'm Koshka and I talk like this.
Okay, no. No.
What do you mean, no?
I'm just gonna be pissed when the voice acting patch comes and she doesn't sound like this.
I would think that she sounds really raspy. Like,
Yeah, I would say she was more, like, raspy, yeah.
Yeah, she'd probably sound like her throat is an Xbox 360 mic.
And then she constantly yells out racial slurs.
Yeah, that doesn't... No, I think it's more Lilia than Koshka sounding like that.
That's true. Koshka is actually very wholesome.
Yeah, Lilia would be more like the slurs saying...
The slurs.
No, I think both of them would be yelling slurs at each other, honestly.
That's true.
I mean, they kind of already do, but okay.
I did your mom last night. No, I did your mom last night.
I think Koshka wouldn't be saying slurs, just like, how did you come up with that level insults?
Now it's the time for the Olympic level of information dump. So now we learn there's a great 5 factions. So they're the Arctic Ocean Union, which is the AOU, the Central Ocean Union, COU, Abrahamic Brother Nation, and ABN, African Commonwealth Realm, ACR, and the Latin America Treaty Organization, which is the LATO.
LATO.
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay, I have something that I've always think about when I think about mental tablets, which is that fucking Meow was relaxing on top of a tower that he was just fucking imagining. And I know Meow, he's like fucking overpowered when it comes to parallel processing powers. But like, if mental tablets can do shit like this, then how does this affect the tourism industry in Ciconia? How does this affect the entertainment industry in Ciconia? If you can
I think they mentioned this because first thing is, I don't think they do tourism at all. Like, I don't think you travel between
Yeah,
places.
I think only the older people do tourism.
Yeah, because I think what it said in Ciconia is that, like, nobody ever goes to other places because I think in very, very later, and I think in data archives or something, they talk about, or like the whole conversation they have about Gun Hill, like, people don't know how other people live because that is, like, basically, that would spark unhappiness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know?
Yeah.
So people don't go travel. People just travel, like, digitally, but, like, digital travel doesn't...
Yeah. I guess I forgot about that, but yeah, I think it would make a great episode just for us to talk about the implications of mental tablets and how that affects everything.
I mean, also, I don't think tourism would be great because, like, a whole, like, alliance thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole, like, treaty thing. People would only travel within their own alliances.
Yeah, which we will get to. And I think between that, I don't even think people travel to, like, wealthier places because I basically think it's just barred. That's also one of the reasons why they couldn't, I think we'll get to this eventually, but when we get to the part where they're doing, it's a wrap public bath, they were talking about where they could possibly do, like, set their room as, and, like, the digital room, and they couldn't set it as a lot of places because they couldn't set it as Kyoto because that would spark, like, nationalistic, and they couldn't set a lot of places because there's a lot of political implications, and that's why they set it as, like, a nice public bath because it doesn't have any, like, very specific political implications. Anyway, that's basically that thing. So, I thought it would be funny if, like, in future episodes, I don't know if this is just a thought, but I thought it would be funny if we introduce ourselves with one of the 5 great factions, because, like, it is true that we have enough, like, diversity in our group that we would all be in, like, slightly different places. So,
well, there's a problem with that. I don't fucking know what Portugal's alliance is.
Portugal would be...
No, it wouldn't horse game. That's
either
just
AOU or ABN.
That's just a headcanon. We don't have confirmation. I have no idea where I am.
Well, most of them are geographically similar or have similar ideologies.
Yes, because geography has so much impact in the factions. Yes.
Well, okay, we know most of Europe, most of, like, Southern Europe and Eastern Europe are part of the ABN.
Still.
yeah, I was gonna say, I did see, like, a really interesting, like, it's not a 4chan. I think this one is from... this was from Reddit, but it's like a possible Ciconia alliance map and what it's like possible that it could be. So I don't know. You could assign yourself. I mean, I know where I would be. So the smiles.
Well, anyway, before we get into the opening, right? That's where you're gonna talk about the opening now, right? Because that's the next thing.
Opening time.
Before we get into the opening, Gunhild says something. Gunhild says she may try to hide it, but Chloe is totally on board with this when they are preparing for the fight between the two cats, right?
Yes.
And so they've got, like, you know how Ryukishi just... This is just the perfect foreshadowing phrase that Ryukishi would write. So I'm just like, what if Gunhild actually already knows Chloe is a fucking mole? And so when she says Chloe's trying to hide it, she's just like, Chloe, I fucking got you. Don't you turn on us.
I mean, there's another part that actually makes Chloe come off as well. Like, I think we're gonna get there, but in the Battle Standard Festival, Chloe is, like, talking to Lilia and Koshka, and it's like, you guys behave yourself or I'm gonna pull out my secret weapon or something. Like, as in, like, it sounds like just like I'm gonna punish you, but, like, no joke, like, Chloe's gonna fucking punish the shit out of them. Like, and I think that's pretty interesting.
I was like, can I just say I fucking hate Chloe? Like, dumbass.
What the fuck?
She just speaks with a fucking smile at the end. It's so fucking stupid.
Why do you hate Chloe?
Like, fucking bottom energy.
I think she's cute.
Leave Chloe alone.
Did you just say fucking bottom energy?
Yeah, she just does the fucking bottom face every time she speaks.
I love her though.
God.
Okay,
She's
bottom.
just Canadian. Do you just not?
Yeah, exactly. She's Canadian. She gets constantly bonked on her head.
Yeah, that's another sign of the being a bottom.
But she also makes horny art, and we have to respect that.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, anyone who makes horny art is pretty respectable.
Chloe's the main source of AO3.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
She makes all the horny art. So, what's their thought? Everybody could speak about their thoughts about the opening now. So, opening thoughts?
Yo, the opening is so good.
I like the opening. This is, I believe it's by Pomegranate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna say it.
No.
I'm gonna say it.
You're gonna say you don't like it.
This opening is the best visually, but the worst musically.
Shut the fuck up. It's so
Oh,
good.
I don't think so. I think
The music is so good.
Like the opening, the first notes are amazing, but then the rest of the song, I'm just like, when does this end? And then I fucking can't skip it.
Are you deaf?
Like, who the fuck coded this VN?
You can. I skip it. Like when I had to restart the game, I skipped it.
What? Then why does my VN not? What the fuck?
Every copy of Ciconia is personalized.
Yeah, because like I will say I think the opening is not. It is good, but I think it's not the best.
Yeah.
I find some parts of it pretty generic for like a sci-fi visual novel.
I don't agree, but I mean, I like the opening.
I think the beginning slaps. That's my thoughts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really great, but it's pretty generic for a sci-fi thing. But like, it also does the thing that every first opening of a When We Cry does, which is just the name of the game.
It's been a bit since I've even fucking listened to the OP, so I don't think I can actually comment on it.
That's okay. Okay, so opening mixed thoughts. I mean, I like the showing all the characters. I find like looking at all the characters really useful because right now we only met 6 people, but it's gonna rapidly start increasing.
You're gonna have, I think there's like 24.
Yes.
I'm just skimming through the OP, and yeah, it sounds kind of generic.
So the Battle Senno Festival kind of looks like this like Olympic style like games, and this year is going to be hosted in AOU Japan, and we all thank the soldiers for supporting the Walls of Peace.
Yay.
Yay.
This is where the JF Kennedy line comes up, which is the Wall of Peace will surely crumble if not supported from both sides.
I just fucking love that every time somebody's reading Ciconia for the first time, they just get to that part and then just send a message being like, why the fuck is there a James F. Kennedy quote in Ciconia? And there's just no good answer for that. It's just mysterious, hilarious, and
Yeah.
No, actually, Jake, that's not true. That's not true. The game immediately explains to you why there is a JF Kennedy line.
No, yeah, but that's after you see the line, right?
Yes.
Like when it shows up, it's just like, wait, what the fuck? That's what I mean.
When I was getting towards the end, I was just thinking, why are there more than one Salvador Dali quote?
I think it's funny.
It's actually... Okay, I will talk about that guy later, because he becomes very important.
So the Wall of Peace will surely crumble if not supported from both sides. So this quote leads into the conversation where we change scenes and we see it's an instructor explaining about the concept of a Kennedy powder keg. So the idea is that like the Gauntlet Knight students are like watching this lecture and the mental display, and of course like everybody's like texting in the background, like reading fanfics and watching television, playing games, and also like chatting with friends while listening to this lecture, which is basically how I do college sometimes, when I'm basically the only time I'm actually free on Discord is when I'm in class. Just kidding.
AKA you're on quest right now.
No, it's a weekend. So Kennedy's powder keg is very interesting because, of course,
say Kennedy.
Sorry, my words. Okay, Kennedy. So, for everybody, I guess, I don't know if you're listening to this and not know who John F. Kennedy is, but he's the 35th, like, a U.S. president. He was also...
Yo, almost 34th.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, so, and he's also assassinated, and this is during the Cold War era. Like, the idea is that Kennedy's powder keg is filled with gunpowder of conflict, which is the idea of, like, it's just a strike, and it would just immediately, like, explode on both sides. And, the idea is that if you maintain military might, so we can like prevent outbreaks of conflict. And the instructor talks about how like before World War III era, like we praise like disarmament and like pacifism, some baby libs, but then everybody ideas changed after World War III because we realized that actually guns are good, and we to make peace we just need more guns. Everybody gets a gun.
Second Amendment, y'all.
Guns! We all need guns!
All of those ideas of peace and pacifism were just seen as childish and negligent. And now the International Peace Mediation Association was tasked to maintain a healthy military balance across all countries. And so, which means there's just walls between all the borders and all that, like physical and mental walls, of course, in order to preserve world peace. Then we get to see the fun Tojiro and Shishat, who basically, Shishat, who looks like she should be arrested by the fashion police, which I love. I love her clothes. I love her clothes. Her outfit is very good. Des is the only one who doesn't like the outfit. Laugh at him.
I'm the only one with a good fashion sense.
I don't like the outfit either.
Shut the fuck up.
Why would you wear half of your underwear above your fucking jeans that you're also wearing with Egyptian armor? Like, what the fuck?
Because it's based as fuck.
It's cool.
I like Anka.
Like the Animal Crossing character Anka.
Yeah.
Can we not talk about that, please? Thank you.
Talk about what?
You don't want to talk about Animal Crossing?
I like Animal Crossing.
No, nothing. Okay.
Well, while we're on the topic of the war dump, that was that past conversation. When they are talking about how things went about at the end of the 21st century, they say that the reason pacifism failed was because of the prisoner's dilemma, right? How, like, for that to work, you needed not only for all of the nations to, like, cease fire at the same time, but also for everyone to be on the safe wavelength.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna make my predictions. I think the prisoner's dilemma will become the devil's proof of Ciconia, and it will just come up every time.
That's just gonna be virtue/reward.
Prisoner's Dilemma is so fucking stupid. Like the rules that are set in place in it. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What do you mean the prisoner's dilemma is stupid?
No, just like the laws in it. Like, wow, if you both tell each other then...
Just like the very specific scenario presented and not the principle of it.
Yeah.
It's just fucking stupid.
Okay, cool. We should probably explain prisoner dilemma to the audience so then it would make sense why we're arguing about it.
Go play virtue/reward, you'll get it.
Who doesn't know what the prisoner's dilemma is?
I didn't. I had to look it up.
Oh.
Baby.
It's Des.
Oh, because not everyone's played Zero Escape games.
I don't even know if I'm Zero Escape. Fucking Zoomers.
I don't think we need to explain this because I didn't know this. And I just Googled it up and learned about it in 2 minutes just by reading what Wikipedia said. So we can just say, if you don't know what it is, you can just Google it up and find out what it is in 2 minutes.
Look it up or just, again, play virtue/reward.
What I think is very fascinating about the basically prisoner dilemma or just most of these psychology studies is that I feel like there's researchers go into it with like two different ideas. Some people think like people are born good or people are born bad, and like just like all of the other experiments like Stanford prison experiment or like people like how much could you shock a person because it's like really bored, like are they really bored or like, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like sometimes if you just like set up scenarios for people to do bad things and people will, like, it's like not like every fucking scenario where you've let a bunch of kids on an island and like people are just gonna end up killing each other, like, which is not true. Like the true story about like Lord of the Flies is not as exciting as the actual like it is actually filled more about like cooperation than anything. But anyway, the point of this, what I'm trying to say is that like I feel like a lot of these psychology studies are like, we want to prove people are bad, and our study proved that people were actually really bad. Like, I don't know. It's not like sometimes it's really stupid. Like that's just like how Sayome said. Like the scenario is so specific in a way that sometimes it's actually not that applicable to like the real world setting.
Yeah.
I think I remember that when tested on the prisoner's dilemma, or like tests on like an approximation of the prisoner's dilemma, that researchers like expected that rationally more people would betray, but found out that people were more biased towards picking the cooperation option.
Yeah, exactly. Like people are not as bad as like, I don't know, what people want them to, people think they are.
Yeah.
So now we meet Tojiro and Shishat, and basically they have a very similar conversation to what we just had, but it's more about centrism and
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, oh wow, wars are necessary, but kind of aren't. But woo.
True.
Yeah.
Their conversation is so... like I'm not even into politics, and even to me their conversation sounds so much like just a Reddit argument where they are both they are
It does sound like
they are
it
saying
does.
nothing. They're just saying nothing. They're just speaking. They're just talking in vague terms. They don't give examples. They use stupid psychological experiments like this that are only applicable in very certain scenarios, and then
Yeah.
the results change with just any factor.
I think that's just both their characters. They're just Redditors.
They are super Reddit.
Yeah, I read that. I'm like, this is characters being written and not the authors' things.
Yeah. Anyway, so like in the very end of this conversation, Shisha remarks that people can only go places where they're led to. So like the idea is like the king has to lead them, and then Tojiro is like maintains his faith in humanity, which he says this line, which my brain melts when he said it. He says, "I hope for a miracle one day will occur."
Like Tojiro is basically defending you should train the one bit. AKA it's saying, yo, debating is good. You should debate. Like decisions should be made by a group of enlightened people who
He's like, my ideas will win in the marketplace of ideas. Like all we need to do is debate more. You know, I'm a debate lord.
yes, and Seshat is basically disregarding the importance of debating, and she's saying like by saying stuff like, oh, it takes too much time, then decisions have to be made, and it's basically that is the discussion they're having. And then
Yes.
like because both of them are heavily connected to the kings, basically like the kings are essentially just making the decisions for humanity, right? So like Seshat is basically confirmed to be for her interests to be aligned with the kings, because Seshat's literally saying, who the fuck cares about the masses? And that's basically the kings. And then Tojiro is the one saying, no, like debating, man.
Debate good. Debate is good. Debate more.
And then because Tojiro is literally friends with everybody. So like I think Tojiro is the ultimate centrist, because he just aligns with everything.
He's just a populist. He just thinks like whatever the popular people, like whatever is on top, whoever gets to have the loudest opinions get to win.
Yeah.
I don't think so. My point was mostly just like, because we are still on phase 1, we still are not sure what every character is supposed to be doing, especially the more mysterious characters. But I think from this conversation alone, we can basically almost conclude that Tojiro is most definitely against the Three Kings, even though he sometimes acts like he is in accordance with their plans.
Well, because, yeah, you can definitely get that a little bit later with other characters.
Chapter 2. So the athletes arrive. So the athletes arrive chapter actually starts in the mysterious Illuminati room.
Yeah.
So in the mysterious Illuminati room, there's a Illuminati table, and then they're basically passing a bag around. This woman opens the bag up, and the woman opens the bag, and it's 2 gold coins and 1 silver coin. And this chapter starts with the quote, "Always keep your eyes open. After all, you people will never know when that time will come." So it's by the funny 34 lady. What is her name again?
430.
I don't know how to pronounce that. I will never be.
This is German. 430.
So now we're back at the Battle Standard Festival again, and basically the announcers are just like explaining like what's going on and how they basically it's just like an Olympic game where people fight as they are enemies, but they grow to learn from each other and respect, you know, like all that cool shit. And how this is basically like a good time for them to show off their like technology and new military might. And then you also see like in the waiting room, like Okonogi is like head bonking Chloe Moore for like basically being like
Horny.
And then Vivia comments, Okonogi, it's totally your job to make sure we don't get bored, meow. And then because no, this is actually a theory. So because we know Koshka is like Pandora's box and all of that, what if that's actually true and that's not just a throwaway line? What if one of Okonogi's roles is to keep Koshka entertained so that she doesn't go sicko mode or something and destroy the world?
Sicko mode.
So you think the head bonking is actually keeping Koshka and like entertained, like just like.
No, maybe not that specifically, but like just in general, like don't let Koshka get bored or she'll start imagining something. Like, because one of my theories is that Ciconia is not a digital world but an imaginary one. So like if Koshka is the processor, like quote unquote processor keeping this world alive,
the fuck?
if she gets bored she might start imagining something else and then the world will collapse.
That's what the fuck are you talking?
I will get more into my theory at the end. Don't worry.
That's the theory fucking sucks.
Yeah,
but
it does.
okay.
No, it doesn't. I have evidence.
I have 100 points
Okay.
already.
They basically start talking a little bit about how the grave moles are kind of weird, and like Koshika has been Koshika's been like granted some kind of exemption for like participating in this research facility, and how
Oh my god, yes.
how both like Lilia and Koshika are both like equipment, and even though Chloe is like a top Gauntlet knight, she's basically just sitting around babysitting these like two assholes who constantly bully her, and then also gets constantly bonked on by Okonogi. So you
I
know,
think like in case of Lilia it was because of like
A triple kill, yes.
yes, a triple kill. Yes. So now we finally get to the arrival of the squads.
Yay.
So just before this, I'm gonna talk about the fact that I don't know how to pronounce half of the names. We all tried our best to go on Google to listen to people's pronunciations, and so some of us will be more successful than others. So please forgive us. Thanks.
Yeah, you could start with probably the easy one with the COU.
Yes. So on top is first AOU squad enter first, and we already met all of the AOU squad people, and then COU. So COU is the first is Baibal. So actually, I really like all the names. Like it's Baibal, which actually means Baibal has two things. Baibal, it would either be a pun for 100 treasures, but the actual word that they picked for is Baibal, which means white panther, like
Yeah.
things. So that's what it is. But like when I first saw it, I thought Baibal means 100 treasures, which would have been a pun basically. So it's Ringji, and also the two people who supports her is Momotake and Aisha. Is that how you pronounce her name?
yeah.
I guess.
Aisha.
Aisha. And yeah, I love Lingji. She's great. She's adorable.
I think she's boring, but anyway.
Ah, fuck you.
I think you're boring.
Exactly. So yeah,
That's
so
funny.
basically like Momotake looks like those type of people that like screams out really like cheesy lines, and then like Aisha teases him about it. And then you are introduced to Soprana squad.
I think it's Saparina.
Saparna.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably Soprana.
Saparna. And their leader is, how would you pronounce that?
Sujata.
Sujata?
Yeah, I think
Sujata.
that's what Google
so.
Translate said, Sujata.
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 And then,
I don't know.
Ruchshana.
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 And
Dukshana.
Andre.
Andre. Yeah.
Yeah. And about the squad name, Suparna supposedly is like a deity in Buddhism that represents like flight and shit. So it's fitting for, Gauntlet Knights.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the like all the logos are really cool too. Like, I find that really fun. And then the squad from ABN arrives, so it's, I don't know how to fucking pronounce his name.
Thalathat Suyuf.
Yeah.
Tawatat Sayuf.
Thalathat Sayuf. So you mean Naima, which I love Naima. I love Naima.
Yeah, Naima is amazing.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I love Naima. Naima's so cute.
She's amazing.
Wow.
She baby.
So she baby.
They just fill her with drugs.
Yeah, she's just a drug baby.
Yes, she's a drug. Yeah, she's a crack baby.
Fucking crack.
Yeah.
JBN is fucking messed up.
Yeah, it is. So
Yeah.
so you meet Naomi. So you meet Naomi, who's French, and then you meet
Steinschlau.
Stanislaw.
Stanislaw.
I think Stanislaw, but I just call him Stan.
So many people don't like Naomi.
I don't know why people like Naomi. I don't know. She's kind of boring so far.
Yeah, like that's what I thought. I just didn't like her.
But Shan Shao basically is just like, oh no, Naima is too excited. Let's give her more drugs, and then they just sedated her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next squad is the annoying lesbian nuns.
The magical girl squad.
Yeah. So
The
it's
magical
called
nun squad.
Magical nuns.
Yalada
Shavet.
Shavet.
Yeladot Shavit.
Shavit.
I'll call it Shavit.
Shavi. So it's led by Leah and the member Fatma. I always just think it's like Fatima, but it's not like there's no I in there.
It doesn't have an I, yeah.
Yeah,
I only found out about the lack of I today.
lack of I.
Why? Fatma's a normal name in Turkey.
Yeah, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it is. I know.
Yeah, so Fatma and Stefania. Yeah, and their logo is like this like really cute comet, and it's like they're like star children.
That's also what the name of the squad means.
Yeah.
Also, did you know that they are an idol group?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're an
I'm
idol group.
I'm gonna summon a nun right now. I'm channeling a nun love energy right now.
Yeah, they're the nun group.
Yeah, they're the Nun Love Live.
Church life.
The church live. Idol master. but
Abstinence life.
Church life.
Yeah, so and then it's the ACR group, which is
Oh my god.
Ethabile.
Rethaville.
Retaville.
I don't know.
Rethaville. Please tell me if anybody out there know how to fucking pronounce words. They're the Squad 601.
Yeah, also called June 1st Kings Tour Memorial Squad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
the
the
fucking
memorials.
the fucking names of that faction is so fucking stupid. Like, who comes up with these squad names? Like,
Yukishi.
I mean, it makes sense. I think it like if June 1st is like a really important. It's saying like 4th of July squad. Like I don't know. I don't think it's that weird.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, but then you have like fucking Queen's Cairo Visit Memorial Squad. Like,
There's, I think that's gonna be important because of Seshad and shit. Because like
What the fuck?
Egyptian and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so besides Rethaville, there's also Ishka. Is Ishka?
Ishak.
Ishka
And Abdu.
Abdu,
Yeah.
which basically made fun of her, being like, "Wow, look
How?
at you, you're so
They
cringe."
look like Yu-Gi-Oh characters.
You-
They both look like Yu-Gi-Oh characters.
No, true.
And then the Cairo squad, I think it's really funny because I feel like every other squad gets so much more like attention, like or like actually interesting to do.
I barely remember any of these people.
They're so cool.
I think I remember 2 of them, but I don't remember.
They're so cute. They're like all in a love triangle. It's so funny.
No, they're fucking boring.
I don't remember Anor.
They feel like Fire Emblem characters because they have one character trait and it's fucking annoying. It's like, oh, I am a dog and I like the other character, and then the other character is, oh, I don't like the previous character, but I like the next character, and then the third character is like, oh, I also don't like the previous character, but I like the next character.
You just hate lesbians, homophobe.
That's their whole character. That is their whole character.
It's like they're a perpetual circle that just goes. They're like a perpetual machine that goes in a circle.
It's cute though. Shut the fuck up. Let me have my lesbians.
Yeah, so it's Mariana, Noor, and
Gannett.
And Gannett.
The child, the person that looks like a dominatrix.
What the fuck? She just hasn't made. What the fuck?
Just off-brand Claire.
Okay, Blair and Claire. Jesus Christ. So in the end, the announcer introduced 2 more referees, which is from Leto, and it's Marakaman and Valentina, which are
Yo, Brazilian. Brazil represents. Yo.
Brazil.
I thought you didn't like Brazil.
Come to Brazil.
Thank you, Ryukishi, for introducing 2 Portuguese-speaking countries, but not even referencing Portugal. Thank you very much.
Good. Cool.
This is why your country is fake.
Why are you such a nationalist? Like, shut the fuck
Why
up.
should phase 2 let the Portuguese person shows up and they're the main villain, or they get killed in like 2 seconds?
I think this is really funny, but they mentioned that the reason why Leto can't like participate is because they've unable to field a team during missing the deadline as a result of internal disagreement. Like that's just such a funny concept. But I think we're gonna come back to that because I don't necessarily think Leto thought about like participating anyway. And there are only 2 of them. So we'll talk about if there's possibly a 3rd member of their. So Gauntlet Knights are basically a symbolic representation of the world military mights, and basically, but like people who are watching this are like basically seeing this as like being really skeptical. And also a very important detail to know is that while they look like they are participating in the real world, all of this is in a virtual reality. Like they are competing in a virtual reality.
Yeah,
True.
And it has a very big impact on the world. I like this festival is such a big world building aspect of Ciconia. Like all the disputes between countries are basically decided by sports matches. That's such an interesting
concept.
Yeah. So and then and the Gauntlet users are be able to you're required to perform the what is it? What's the
Dreisig. right, Simon?
Dreising conversion on Spiritum.
Dreisig conversion.
Dreisig.
Dreisig. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
German conversion.
The German conversion.
Okay, it's the Dreisig conversion.
The Dreisig conversion on Spiritum, which is how they do math, and they make like parallel processing abilities, which is why you have to train from a young age. That's why nobody who's older than, I don't know, whatever age could like actually do this. Like everybody has to be a baby when they first like train this thing.
Yeah, me with true training since birth.
Yes, basically.
Yeah.
Assigned Gauntlet Knight at birth.
So yeah,
True.
so now we come back to the mystery Illuminati room, and we meet the three kings. So the three kings are sitting on the three sides of the triangle, and the three kings are the king of ridicule, the king of fury, and the king of sorrow. And their faces shrouded behind this mask, and they are wearing gloves.
Yes.
They basically are all watching this festival, like they're in a bar and they're talking to like the gestress. I think it's really interesting because they say the King of Sorrow gives a passing mention of his granddaughter and saying like, oh, like she's even younger than our granddaughter. I don't know what that means. It either means they're super old or it means like the gestress is like 12 or something. Which I don't think she is.
I don't think the Jester's is 12.
She looks like 17 or 15.
The Jester? She looks about 20.
How does she look 20? What?
I don't know. I thought she looked like 20-ish, like 22 or something. I don't know. Anyway, so they basically remarks about the idea that like the humans are stubborn and they're resilient against eradication, and they basically it's time to bring the civilization back to square one, allowing them to put more distance between human society and civilization end. And they're like, we're doing this for the good of human. And then Jester start talking about like how she has this report from the Grand Master of the Nine Prime. They also talk about how they were able to sneak members of the Order into the Gauntlet Knights Union, into the four factions.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question. Do you think what she means is that she sneaked one member into each of the four factions, or like they just sneaked in four members?
No, each of the four factions has a mole.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's what I got from it.
Cool.
So who do you think it is? Like, we know Chloe is the mole in AOU, right? But what about the
How?
other factions?
No, I don't agree with
I don't
that.
think it's...
What?
It can be literally anybody, honestly. I don't fucking
You don't think
know.
it's Chloe?
No.
She literally revealed herself.
No, when did she reveal herself?
At the end! What the fuck?
She did not.
She
Chloe
did not.
had the-
Chloe's not a mole.
She turned evil!
She's just mentally unstable.
Yeah, there's only one per faction. I know who it is, and I don't want to say it because technically Sydney has not gotten there yet.
Wait, but what? So you don't think that whole thing with Chloe at the end was...
No, it was
her-
just her being like a great girl boss.
Chloe's not a mole. Chloe just has another personality.
She's a great mole.
She just has like a more evil personality. That doesn't. I don't think
Yeah.
that that is not her like being.
I honestly don't even know if like the scene that happened with Lilia is like during the ending. Honestly, like it can be just like from some random time long ago, but we will get in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, in the very end, they basically are just asking if the Gestress group has found out the research center yet, and the Gestress says like they've like basically set out like a person to go find it, but they haven't heard back yet. And then they basically also ask about how if the manipulation of public opinion has been going, and the kings are like, oh, it's going great, like it's doing very well. So in the end, the kings observe the civilization. It's like it's gonna come to an end again, and they declare that they cannot fail again for bringing it to its knees, basically. And they declare the motto of the Order, which is all in the name of guiding humanity down the right path.
Yes.
Oh,
Amazing.
Exactly.
funny quote.
So the battle's standard festival keeps going on, and a message is displayed on screen, which we don't know who is sent by, asking if they remain concealed there, and if those people are surely to make contact and promise to report on this person if anything happens immediately. The announcement declares that the first match involves like attacking a fictional military base is about to begin. Chloe says like tells her squad to be serious or she would use her trump card, which is where I said like, oh, this is when you see like the evil, like the maybe evil Chloe, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the message finished with like the Order's motto, which is the whole like all in the name of guiding humanity down the right path, and it was sent to the Gestress, and that's the end of the parts we have to cover.
Yo.
Yay!
Okay, so now I want to talk about stuff like the UI. Like, do you guys prefer the UI like this to where it's full screen but the text is only in the middle? Do you prefer like the adventure mode or the fucking what's the other one?
So it's novel mode and adventure mode. So
Novel mode. Yeah. So which one of the three do you like most?
I prefer novel mode. I really prefer it. That's
Same.
how I read Umineko. That's how I read Higurashi. Even though that's not how I read other visual novels, I still prefer when they do novel mode.
I like novel mode in Ryukishi's work because Ryukishi writes way too fucking much, and my brain does way better when I see a bunch of text on the screen, so I can scan from top to bottom instead of just like furiously hitting enter bar because I want to read more text. Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like. This is actually really good for reading lots of words. Just like it's good. Novel mode is good.
But do you prefer novel mode to where like it covers the whole screen, or like here where it's only the center? I don't even know why they went with that.
I don't know. I mean, I like it how it is actually, like right now, because I mean, I feel like I didn't necessarily like mind that like maybe it's a little bit too narrow. I would like it to be slightly more thicker because of the fact that like English and Japanese is not like structured the same. Like in Japanese, if you wanted to basically like have like a hard turn in like a sentence, like it's not gonna break up like a word or anything. Like it would still make sense. It is just individual characters. Like that's perfectly fine. But in English, if you have a word like high maneuverability, and that word has to have its own fucking line and you can't break it up in the middle, that word will just take up its whole like whole space. And I feel like if the English version was like slightly wider, I would feel happier about it.
Who the fuck is clicking? Stop clicking right now. I'm gonna go to your home.
I think I prefer, like, full screen novel mode over this novel mode, because, like, full screen novel mode is just consistent, because, like, the darkening is just affecting the whole screen. It doesn't seem like there's just a weird shadow in the middle of the screen with a very narrow, with a like pretty narrow text field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I do prefer at least the fucking names being there.
Oh, true. Names being there is important. That's very true.
Yeah.
So now you at least could tell the difference between if it's a question or if it's a person talking or if it's a narration.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I honestly don't fucking care.
Especially here without voice acting, it's very important to have.
Mm-hmm.
I know in Higurashi and Umineko, like, they don't have the names in there, but, like, I played them with voice acting, so it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I like the UI and how they designed the semicons and how the keropoyo just jumps around. Like, it makes it, like, it shakes the whole screen. It actually feels like you're, like, getting a message or something.
Yeah.
And, like, all of that part is designed really well, I think.
I think the whole they were very creative with the way they present this story. Like aside from the 3D renders, I think the whole VN is very creative, and I appreciate it.
Because like here, I like the pod screen where the character stuff is, where like all the character stuff is. Because like unlike Umineko's like UI with its pod screen, like Umineko's UI looked fine. It was fine. But, like, all the portrait stuff was, like, in the corner of it. Like, the whole character stuff is in a corner instead of having its own page.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, it kind of has its own page. It's just you gotta... I guess I kind of get what you're saying, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the bios aren't on its own page. But, like, where you pick the characters, it's, like, in the corner of that pod screen.
You know what's really funny? Like, in Ciconia, when, like, the Salcom, like, green thingy comes up, there's, like, runes at the bottom and the top of the screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like they're all Bible quotes like translated.
Really?
It's actually really interesting.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to eventually get into the Bible section of Ciconia because I'm not very like knowledgeable on that side. I'm very knowledgeable about politics, but not very basically Bible savvy, so I'm super excited to basically eventually hear about
that. That will happen for a long ass while.
I literally read like the Book of Revelation.
That is true, and she came up with so many fucking theories from that. Can I get into my imaginary world theory now and give you more evidence?
Sure.
So basically, both the gauntlets and the 8MS are just tools to help people, to help the masses fall into the placebo that yes, this is a real world that exists. Because both the 8MS and the Gauntlets do some ridiculous fucking shit. So basically, since everyone is basically in a collective dream, both the 8MS and the Gauntlets just the whole purpose is to help not break the suspension of disbelief of these people who are in this world, right? Because for them not to become aware, for them not to be like, holy shit, this is kind of ridiculous. How the fuck are people flying, you know? They need an explanation. That the explanation is the Gauntlet.
It's the stupidest explanation I've ever heard, Das.
Yeah.
Huh? No.
Like if you're in a dream, you don't realize that you're in a dream, but okay.
No, you can lucid dream. You can be like, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. Maybe I'm dreaming, and then you wake up. That's a thing that exists. That happens.
Okay, but how would the whole population of the world be simultaneously sleeping and having the exact same dream?
Because of the factory scene, like they were all put in this, like their brains were uploaded to this network, and it's important for them not to become aware that they are.
But how is it a dream then if it's not like a simulation? Wouldn't simulation be better?
It's like a mixture. It's a mixture between a virtual
How?
world and a. I'm fucking explaining it right now. Oh my.
What do you mean mixture of a virtual world and a dream?
Yeah, what the fuck? How does that make sense?
It's either or.
I am literally explaining it right now. I am literally explaining
Okay,
that
then do
right
it.
now. If the whole world's population's consciousness is uploaded to like a server, right? It's important for them to not realize that they are virtual existences, or people might fall into like existential dread and shit. So all of this wacky shit that's happening is justified. It's like the 8MS, for example, or the Gauntlet Knights are just an excuse to justify all this wacky shit that's happening so that it doesn't break the suspension of disbelief.
But why would they want it to happen?
Want what to happen?
Yeah, why does there have to be like people flying around? Like if that's explanation.
I can't explain that, but like.
Are you explaining the Kingdom Hearts plot to me right now? Like what the
Wait,
fuck?
Sayumi, do you claim that all of your theories explain everything?
No. I understand what Des is trying to say. I think Des is trying to say like Ciconia's world is basically a matrix, and then they're basically keeping everybody placated. But however, I don't really agree that saying that like Gauntlet Knight is like a very thing to bring into the world, because it is said in Ciconia's universe that like people didn't think Gauntlet Knight was even possible. People were like, Gauntlet Knights are just VR. Like most people said, all of the people in the military base are like, well, like all these kids, like they're just like e-gamers. Like that, you remember they also keep calling it esports.
Yes.
And then like they only got really shocked when the Gauntlets actually works in real world. So instead of thinking about like Gauntlet Knights of being very plausible to be in the real world, I would think that if this is like the kind of matrix settings, wouldn't it be more like immersion breaking when you realize that Gauntlets would work in quote unquote what their real world is? Like if I was a person who did think that I didn't live in a matrix, and then suddenly I see Gauntlet Knights flying around, I'll be like, oh yeah, this actually proves that I'm living in a matrix now, because how the fuck does that work if it only works in a VR?
Dry say conversion. Like they just keep coming up with terms and concepts to explain it.
Because it's sci-fi, Des. If you never read a sci-fi novel,
Horse-Kim.
like every sci-fi novel is exactly like this. Just a bunch of nonsense.
It's like
Okay,
saying
but-
that Star Wars is actually all just in the Matrix because they keep using this thing called a lightsaber instead of a sword.
No, but it makes sense. It makes sense in Ciconia. I have more evidence.
Oh?
I think that the idea that the brainstem thing, it already happened and they're in the VR, it makes sense. But I feel like resting your idea on the Gauntlet Knights being suspension of disbelief is weird because of how much the VN kind of shows that these are like going beyond what should be done and are like massive feats of science. So I don't think that Gauntlet Knights would be like the most impossible, this is clearly fake thing you'd put in a story.
No, okay. Then what if you think about it backwards? Let's say some people, like this generation of kids, supposedly they are being trained from an early age to be able to use a gauntlet, like, but what if this new generation of kids and every subsequent generation of kids are just progressively more transhuman, right? And so they come up with the concept of the Gauntlet Knight and introduce it into this world, so that they introduce the idea into the people that you can only do this if you train from an early age, so that the other kids who are not training from an early age do not do not think that they too are able to do it, even though they are, and then the placebo just makes them not being able to do it.
What?
Because they have been fed this notion that only people who are trained from an early age can do it, and that is how they keep this generation of kids from all of them being able to do these amazing feats.
I mean, I don't think that's true though.
This has nothing to do with VR, though.
Okay, Des, you're presenting two very different theories.
No.
What?
You're-
Yeah, that feels very non sequitur.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna agree with what Jensen said. Like that feels really non sequitur because one is your theory is everybody lives in a matrix, and I think what Jensen wanted to help you to explain is that maybe that is true that like everybody is living in a matrix, but like use something else that is not Gauntlet Knight to prove your point, and then maybe we'll have an easier time to accept it.
Okay, rejection shields. So if everything is based on belief, right? Rejection shields is the power of basically thinking out of the matrix, being like, wait a minute, this isn't right. How is a missile coming at me? So it's basically like unconsciously being like, this missile isn't real. So a rejection shield pops up and you block it. But there's more to this, because time and time again in Ciconia, it is mentioned that there are some deviants among the people who, like, when you are told to do something, they do the contrary, right?
When is that said?
I don't know. I just started rereading the story.
God's program thing.
Yeah. That's exactly it.
Okay, so the shields are actually people being contrarians,
Yes.
where they are given the opinion that a missile is coming at them, and they believe, no, I do not think a missile is coming at me because I'm a contrarian.
But subconsciously.
Sure.
No, wait, I have more.
Okay, you're losing me by very rapidly. I can understand why now you didn't like Ciconia, but yes, continue.
No, okay. So the kings say that their job is to, like, give back the fate of humanity back to humanity's hands from the gods, right? So if the gods are the ones making this world that is basically like a mass dream / virtual world that is being carried by the Pandora's box power, right, Koshka? So
What is Pandora's box power? Excuse me.
You are going insane.
wait.
Do you know what Pandora's box is?
You're bringing up random things.
It's Koshka. Pandora's box
No,
is
but
Koshka.
do you know what it is like in the legend?
I know, but that doesn't fucking... I'm talking about Koshka here. I just used that as Koshka's title. But anyway, the kings want to give the fate of humanity back to humanity's hands, right? But if humanity is being fed this placebo shit, then they need to eugenics humanity into being full of contrarians, right? And how do they do that? They reboot the world, right? Because if apocalypse comes, then all of the people who believe in the Matrix, who believe in the fake story, right? They are gonna die because they're like, oh no, diseases. I am infected. But if you're a contrarian, you're progressively gonna become more contrarian and survive it because you understand the disease is just not real. And then with every consecutive loop,
This is the worst shit I've ever heard.
with every loop of civilization,
Take your pills, Des.
Even I make better theories than that. Like, what the fuck?
Like, I just want this to be edited like fucking Des, like trying to solve like all the fucking numbers hopping up and all of it just laughing quietly.
I'm so sorry. Okay, Des, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I really want to be on board of your theory because I think it's interesting, but you're losing me so hard.
But the thing is that you have interesting, like, individual points, but the way you're connecting them is weird, because, like, the idea of them making it a placebo that you have to train from birth to be a Gauntlet Knight to prevent others from just wielding the power, that could be interesting, but I don't think that really has to have to do with proof of the Matrix. Like, that could just be normal social engineering in a real world.
Yeah, the social engineering in the real world, correct. And I also think it's really important to remember that within the story of Ciconia, they already gave you many examples of people working their best to to go through the becoming a Gauntlet Knight. Like, I think it's shown in like the times when Chloe goes to that stupid facility to basically. And the stupid facility is there not to train Gauntlet Knights. They're only there to social engineer Chloe to be a more confident person or arrogant or whatever to gain. Like, and to basically gain confidence from seeing other people suffer.
You will see in phase 3
Shut the fuck
when
up.
Jesters turns to Meow and says, "So which pill, Meow?"
No.
The thing about Ciconia that I actually disagree about with this is like, I think the whole like it's all a matrix thing is really, really overused. Like it's like a really overused concept. Like it's like a
Yeah, because the Evangelion genre that Ciconia has is not overused at all.
I think that like Matrix thing like isn't out of the question, but it cannot be the solution. Like
Correct.
it would have to be a thing that would just be a development in the story halfway through.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I feel like the story already shows you a lot of like its like teeth, like where it shows you like, oh, there's like the factory, there's like spinal
Yes, yes.
fluid, and it also like it even explains to you that there's different like in the very beginning, like all of the Gauntlet Knights are training in a virtuality and how virtuality has layers. So like it is, and also if we were to get to it, Salome has talked a lot about like how being like there's different times, and maybe it's like the type of thing where you have a simulation in a simulation, like, you know, like that kind of stuff. So like I don't think it's very out of the like explaining how Ciconia is in a matrix is the most boringest take possible, and we should avoid
Yeah.
it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because that'd be easy to explain the time loop. Because like that's something we don't know yet with Ciconia is the time loop. Because there's obviously going to be a time loop in Ciconia. It's just that we don't know what the parameters of said time loop is.
The thing is that Ciconia feels like they've reframed the meta world to just be the virtual world, so it would make sense if they reframed the time loop to be repeated simulations, but I do feel like it has to be repeated simulations of an already really existing world.
Yeah, like there has to be something more than that.
Like, it can't be like, Gauntlet Knights would be impossible in real life, so this is all VR. Like, it has to be, like, based off of what is already in this world.
Yeah, it's like the computers running like the 100 million simulations to see who wins in like a certain fight. It's like, does Goku win against Superman? Let's run 200 simulations on that and write a story about each simulation.
Anyway, so I think we explained our thoughts about this enough. Do we want to talk about character designs, or do we want to talk about more theories? I still just want to know what Horsecam says, but I don't know what Yisset has not read yet. Have you not read all the data archive fragments? Is that why we're not talking?
I've read none of the data archives just because I finished the VN at like 1 a.m. yesterday, or technically today.
Yeah. Do you care? Because it's going to be a slight spoiler to the last two data archives.
No.
Okay, so who I think is the mole of, at least for AOU, is... So I have two theories. One is the obvious one, that I think it's Gunhild.
It's Gunhild.
It's Gunhild.
It's Gunhild.
Yeah. Because, like, she was like, oh, I walk into this restriction area and fucking do some random shit. And then, like, a theory that I had, which is an interesting one, but I don't know how factual it would be, is that technically... Because they talk about how some of these characters have multiple personalities. Like, you see that with Meow. What if one of these personalities, like, someone could be good and also a mole at the same time.
Yeah.
Someone's alternate personality can be leaking information to the wrong people.
That's what I think about Chloe. Okay, Sayome, do you want to talk about your theory about the kings?
The World War One.
Mhm.
It was like yesterday or like today or something. Like I just thought about the Three Kings again, and I just noticed like the Three Kings were like the people who are supposed to lead the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like there's exactly three, and like up to this point, there have been like 3 world wars, right? And I thought maybe like the people who plunged the world into the world war could like be the Three Kings, or like the in-universe version. So for example, for World War One, it would be like Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Maybe the second one could be like, because I think Hitler was the one who like started World War Two with the invasion to Poland, so it could be that.
It would be so fucking funny if Hitler became a When They Cry character.
wait, are Persona 2 bosses gonna be in when They Cry now?
And I guess the third one we don't know. Also, I just had a thought, but like it would have to have me include talking about the Bible. Like, if that would be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I just realized like the Three Kings, they sit at like a triangle, right? everyone is they're trying to make like a fourth world war, right? And then if there would be a fourth world war, there would have to be a fourth king, right?
Yes.
And in the book of Revelation, like the last book of the Bible, at the end of, like at the very end, like of everything, the good people, they get to live with God and Jesus in the golden cube.
Simon.
If we get another like king, then it would be in a cube and not in a triangle.
No.
What?
It would be a square.
Okay, cool, but like, it's a 3D version,
You would need 8 world wars.
I mean, a square and a cube, like, goddamn, cut me some slack.
No, I will not cut you some slack after what you did to my theory.
Shut the fuck up. Your theory was actual garbage. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, your theory is just sci-fi elements confuse me. It's not real.
Okay, I have the ultimate final argument. Ryukishi said Ciconia was inspired by Evangelion, and then the rejection shield is that it's just the AT field all over again, so my point is proven.
Doesn't mean it is Evangelion.
Des. You're basically boss babying right now. Do you know what boss babying is?
I don't actually know what that means in this context.
Okay, so Boss Baby is from that tweet that says, "Man who only have watched Boss Baby thinks every movie he watches is a Boss Baby reference."
Umineko fans.
So that's actually what Dubs and I use whenever we make stupid references, is when we make a reference and you're like, you're boss babying it, which means man who only have seen Evangelion thinks every single anime is a reference to Evangelion.
Sure.
So
Ryukishi literally said that, but no, anyway.
I know, but doesn't mean everything is a direct reference to it.
But what I'm trying to say is that like if Ryukishi is an actually good writer, then he would, and his work would be a commentary on Evangelion instead of being a direct reference. That's my personal thought process. And the thing is, I could prove that Ryukishi is a good writer who commentary on stuff, because basically, like Umineko is a commentary on like mystery novels, and he does a really good job on commentating on like
it could be like Ciconia could be just a commentary on like sci-fi,
exactly,
and really break a lot of sci-fi establishments,
exactly,
which means we could go for a lot of mindfuckery story elements, which is like what I see from a lot of like some fan theories where like we're gonna go down a hill of like just a random like some really weird stuff happening and Ryukishi explaining it with some things.
I actually know if Ciconia would really be commenting on Evangelion much specifically instead of just being inspired by it, because so far I don't think there's any real like critiques or like subversions of Evangelion as much as just some like shared themes about like child soldiering.
I mean, isn't Evangelion already a critique on Evangelion? So
Yeah, it's just that the things that seem to be inspired by Evangelion don't seem to really be commenting on it much. It just seems to be things he used as inspiration in his own work. Like, not copying the whole thing, just some things that he thinks he could say about the world and politics that are influenced by Evangelion.
What the fuck?
Because, like, I'm mostly just waiting for, like, the later parts where actually the story gets kind of interesting with some plot points.
Yeah, right now. Okay, I say the first, like, 6 hours of the game is really just, like, hard to read.
I had a pretty hard time following Ciconia because of just how many fucking characters there were that it wasn't, like, introducing, like, as thoroughly as Umineko was.
Yeah, we're, like...
And also, like, the world was interesting, but it felt like it was written very much like how hard to read geopolitical fantasy novels are written.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I can't follow this shit.
How?
The only way that I was able to actually read Ciconia was actually because I would listen to a playthrough of it until the part where like it cut off, like the chapter 7, and then I read the rest, because I think like at that point I was so into Ciconia that I was like ready to just read the rest. But like I think if I had to read the first 7 chapters by myself, I would have so much harder time. It's just easier to listen to other people.
Yeah, that's why it took me fucking like a fucking year to read it, is because like, but one, it's like the mystery element isn't as there in the same way that drives me to finish it in the same way that Higurashi and Umineko did.
Yeah.
And also just that a lot of it was hard to follow, and also just I couldn't be like, I'll read this for the closure because it's still part 1 out of 4.
Do you like the ending though? Did you enjoy reading the ending and all that?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I just found it hard to follow and not as, like,
Engaging.
I need to read this.
Hello, Future Mushroom here. Just tell you that the part past this would be Umineko and Higurashi spoilers, so for when they cry spoilers, remember to cover your ears or tap out.
Yeah, because I think the issue with Ciconia's beginning is, like, because it wants to introduce this large cast, even though it uses, like, maybe a fourth of them in most of the phase 1, but others might be important later.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, Umineko, even though it does introduce a large cast, but it introduces them because all the Umineko's casts are related and all kind of have the same relationship to one another.
But also, but Umineko does this thing. But Umineko does this thing where basically they kill off half of the cast in the very beginning, so then you get to spend more time with the rest of the cast. Like that's actually a really
that's what Umineko.
Even so, even the characters who die early, like Eva, for example. Eva dies in fucking second Twilight, but you get a lot of time with her. And even fucking who dies in the first Twilight? Kumasawa dies in
Rudolph.
Yeah, Rudolph. Rudolph is a good example. Like,
well, because you spend time with these characters.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, Umineko EP1 is much shorter than.
And you also, every character has a lot of their story related to other character stories. Where in Ciconia, you have this really, none of these characters are related to one another or share like a same like history with each other. It's not an established history. They're all meeting each other for the first time relatively within the story.
I don't know.
In Higurashi, you're joining an already existing friend group and it's only like 5 characters at the start and each one gets an arc.
And also just the amount of things that need to be introduced in the amount of time, because Higurashi, it doesn't need much time to introduce you to these characters, but it has to flesh it out and reveal like the roots of the mystery. And Umineko spends a lot of time on its first chapter just thoroughly covering the characters, what their relations are, and just how they act in slice-of-life settings over these 2 nights before things happen. Well, Ciconia has to set up more characters than Umineko's main cast in the course of an episode, while also having to establish all of the geopolitical countries as their own characters, and also all of the technology in the world.
Yeah.
Within the span of 1 episode.
Yeah, that's essentially that issue with Ciconia's like introduction to stuff. Like they have to introduce the world, they have to introduce the characters, they have to introduce conflicts that are potential to happen, but it doesn't have the same pace, but it doesn't slow down with it like Umineko does, where like you have Umineko episode 1 has this really boring scene where like you have, to me it was really boring reading it the first time, where it was like Rudolph, Hideyoshi, Eva, and Rosa were like talking to Kraus about like, please lend us money, and like it's like that's a very important scene, but like that's really boring, but it's a very important scene. It takes its time doing that. Ciconia doesn't have something like that. It's just like, all right, let's introduce this, let's just do that, all right, let's move on.
Yeah, it just expects you to introduce the characters to yourself with the descriptions, and expects you to remember that.
Yeah.
Even if they have very few lines and do very few things that would establish their character.
That's what you agree?
I was gonna say that I don't think the problem lies there, because yes, you need a lot of time to establish all of these things you just described, but if you can, like, the problem with the characters does not come from how much time you need to establish these other things, because the problem is how Ryukishi decided to distribute the screen time between the characters. Because, okay, sure, you have a big-ass cast, and you cannot give a considerable amount of screen time to everyone, but why choose boring characters to be in the spotlight of the first fucking episode? Like, what is Stanislaw, whatever it's pronounced, what is that man doing in the spotlight? Like,
oh,
who the fuck cares about him? He's just such a boring character. And then
And then, like, if only,
You guys are so-
if only he had made a better choice of characters, or if only he had made the characters he chose actually interesting or charming, which he didn't. Like, Retabio is kind of charming, Meow is charming, we like Wingji, like, yeah, she's not that charming.
up.
And then
I'm so
Steinschlau is just
Lingji
kind
is
of
base as fuck.
Steinschlau.
Yeah, Luigi is great.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's really funny because this whole episode, not whole episode, this whole data archive is just gonna be us disagreeing about a lot of things, which is going to make for
Yeah.
great conversation.
Yeah,
And I think I also will have to say we are recorded for 2 hours, and I think we should find a suitable place to end now.
Yeah.
I think this is a good place to stop. Like talking about like the characters in the introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we can talk about it more next
Yeah.
time. Because they get properly introduced next in the next.
Yeah,
chapter.
and I was actually going to be contrarian to both of all of you been talking because I actually really enjoyed how the character and are introduced in Ciconia. Like, I actually did grow to really like all of them while reading the story, and I was very saddened in the end. Like, genuinely cared about these people.
I
so.
agree.
I will also say, I think Ciconia's character introduction is not the worst character introductions in When We Cry. I still think belongs to Higurashi. I think Higurashi does an awful job introducing its characters.
Interesting.
I guess.
But that's I don't want to go. I don't know if I have time to go into it. Why I think
No,
that,
you don't.
because
But
No.
no, we should.
I'm
we should keep-
curious. If you can say it, like, really quick.
it's because none of their characters fit anything that happens later in the story, and also a lot of it gets kind of not important, and they're all introduced one by one and don't really have anything interesting to do in that first episode except for Rena and Mion. Like, Sasako and Rika don't have anything interesting.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Aren't interesting in the first chapter.
But it's also only 5 characters, so it's not like the damage is that big.
Yeah, I would also say like Ciconia does this thing that I actually, while I think it's great to while I think it's funny to complain about how Ryukishi have a bad time pacing or anything, I think Ciconia is paced really well.
Yeah, I think it is paced really well after like after like the cutoff point.
Yeah.
Because like once after that, like stuff starts rolling and it keeps rolling and it gets really interesting
Yeah,
to me.
yeah, the snowball just keeps going and it doesn't stop. I say like I feel like you have to get in the like rhythm of reading it. Like I think right before the cutoff point, like maybe in chapter 5.
Because it's the inverse of Umineko, where Umineko's introduction is very slow, and this one is just very fast.
Yeah.
We did skip something. We skipped the message before we start the episode, right?
Oh, what was the message you get?
Oh, the message where it goes like, "Oh, this is the difficulty. I hope you enjoy the story." Haha.
It's more like, yeah, you know, it's more like, yeah, you guys played this game before.
I don't remember the
It's
message.
like, you guys played this game before. This is not your first time, but this difficulty is gonna be higher than normal.
Oh yeah,
Because
but,
like the
yeah,
message
but,
itself,
okay.
it's like directly kind of is like, oh, you guys read Higurashi and Umineko. This is not going to be anything like it.
No, you think the message is directed at us? I think it's okay. So I'm just gonna say what I think. So this is a quote from the message. It says, "Are you sure about this? This is merely my personal opinion, but I believe the difficulty level is quite high given the present circumstances. Still, I am well aware that you know the joy of achieving victory, especially over conditions such as that. There is a considerably high tier of difficulty after all, and like this just sounds like something directed at Bern. Like this is just so like my whole theory about Ciconia is that Wamda wrote this game for Bern because, as we know, they can only enjoy a game together if it's a When They Cry game. So Wamda was like, okay, I can't find another When They Cry, so I'm just gonna fucking write one myself to trap Bern, right? Because that's what she was trying to do in Umineko. She found Beato's game and was, oh shit, I forgot about this part. We're just gonna move this part to the end of the episode.
I just can't be bothered to care about the connections between the series with how much that anime fucked everything.
Yeah, it
It's
does.
very
I
clear
can't.
that he's just barely thinking about this and hoping that other people will write a better connection than he writes in the story explicitly.
You literally just said, okay.
What were you gonna say, Simon?
No, it's just like you just said that like you think Yokishi is a good writer and then you say stuff like that. It's just funny. One thing about like the introduction thingy is like the ending is kind of weird because like it's talking to I think it's either talking to the player or
What part?
it's very fucking weird. It's like the you are in my apartment, you're merely a piece that exists for my amusement.
Yes, this isn't from the story synopsis from the actual website.
Yeah.
Where it says, the job of the game piece is to dance within the tragedy's grab. What are the game rules, you ask? How hard is it? That's for you to decide, so it's none of your concern. All you people need to do is take pixes and get taken yourselves, entertaining us within the range of your emotions. Are you listening? You don't want to misunderstand your position. You aren't my opponent. You're merely a piece that exists for my amusement. In this next game, I won't give you the privilege of being a player.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a message from Wamda to Bern.
I don't really like drawing those connections anymore just because I completely... No, I'm not saying that that's what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying, like, I feel like after all of this has completely soured my taste about thinking about, like, witches and playing game pieces. That's my personal thoughts on it.
Yeah, I get it.
I get that.
Yeah, like, I don't think what's outside of the story really matters. Because, like, I don't see how my understanding of the world would be changed if I thought, oh, well, this was written by the witch for the witch. Like, it doesn't matter, I don't think.
I think it's hilarious because, like, now I think about it, like, you know, when you're playing, like, Higurashi has, like, I don't know, 6 people, and you're like, wow, that's pretty good, that's a close-knit community. And then, like, you get to, like, Umineko, it's like, a JK lol, remember 20 people, and then we're gonna introduce 40 more people.
Yeah, we're gonna introduce 3 more people each episode. Don't forget any of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Unless we forget it ourselves.
But I just think it's really funny that, like, it just increased like that. And then when you get to, like, Rose Gun days, it's just like, JK lol, remember all of these fucking people. They're all gonna show up at the same time, and they're just gonna keep increasing.
Wow, it's population boom, just like in the real world. Ryukishi did it again, you mad lad.
But yeah, so...
Yeah, I have a hard time, like, really keeping track of each characters beyond just their design.
That's why, like, Umineko and Ciconia have that character log thing.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's very true. I was gonna say, Ciconia is really great at, like, making all the characters to, like, at a certain point, I just memorized all of them. I got so interested in reading their, like, character, like, cards on, like, that. I just, like, spend, like, 2 hours just, like, reading that, just in general.
Same.
Because it's, like, super
Yeah, because
fascinating.
Des did that, and he was messaging me the whole time when he was reading it. He's like, oh my god, this character speaks Portuguese! Oh my god!
Yo, Mariana represents.
That's literally he messaged me about that. I was like, really?
And you know, also funny Tojiro man looks like
Tomitake.
Tomitake Jiro in fucking...
And the name is also Tomitake Jiro, just organized differently.
Mitake. It's Tojiro Mitake. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tojiro Mitake.
Just a hilarious
Ryukishi
name.
likes reusing character names.
Thanks for using
Or
characters.
just doing a different name of it, because it happens in...
I'm just glad that I can just call him Tomitake without being like, oh wait, no, his name isn't actually Tomitake because it is just Tomitake. I can just call
No,
him
it's
Tomitake.
not.
No, but
It's
Tojiro
me-
Mitake.
but
Yeah, it's not
I
Tomitake.
can shorten it to Tomitake. It's Tomitake.
his
Shut
his
up.
ability is like called Tomitake in like the fucking character description. He has
Really?
he has the ability called Tomitake Flash or something.
Oh my fucking god, I don't even remember that. Jesus.
Well, it's Mitake
that's,
Flash.
That's just Tomitake
Oh,
from
right.
Higarashi's ability. Is that what his ability is? Just a flash? All it is just taking a picture?
Yeah, and it says that like most of them are Meow Baby pictures.
Yeah. Also, Sujata is just fucking Natsuhi, both in design and attitude.
True.
Oh my god, that is so true. They basically are all watching this festival, like they're in a bar and they're talking to like the gestress.
Yes, and one of them is in the bottom. Ah, fuck! I forgot about Spower. Sorry.
What were you gonna
One of
say?
them looks like Hideyoshi, the other one looks like George, and the other one of them look like Battler.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, the big one, Hideyoshi, and you get Skinny George, and then, like,
Battler.
Battler, but, like, in the end of Umineko. I mean, okay, if it's all a Matrix, it would not be an interesting story.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, we technically already kind of have that with other stories in the When They Cry franchise if you count like a fiction as a Matrix.
Well, no. What I'm trying to say is this. This is what I'm trying to say is that I have faith in Ryuichi Kishi, like a Ryuichi Kishi that writes visual novels in the way that like Umineko basically comes out being like it's all a dream or like it's all fiction, but Umineko pays off that really interestingly that makes it like actually all worth it and doesn't make you feel like I just read nothing for the whole time. While I think it's really like I think maybe Ciconia's like whole conclusion could be we're actually all in a matrix. I feel like it wouldn't be something as simple as we uploaded everybody's conscious and now everybody just lives in a fake world.
Yeah, it's that one quest in Fallout 3.
So I think that will be the end of the episode.
Yay.
So yes, thank you so much for listening to our data archive. You might find this format a little bit confusing and we go off to too many tangents. We'll tighten up our formatting and what we're going to talk about more from next week. So yeah, or whatever week we are going to record a next episode. But yes, look forward to more, and there will be more political talks and Bible talks on the horizon.
Yay.
Hopefully more Des rambling about how he doesn't understand sci-fi.
Don't be too mean to Des.
Yeah.
Don't be mean to me.
I could be mean to Des.
I have been oxygen deprived for 2 hours. I'm actually gonna lose my mind.
You sound like you're dying.
Okay.
You should take the Evangelion oxygen.
Yeah, take the copium. Take the copium, Des.
The Eva ass oxygen.
Okay, so I guess my best way to end this will be all in the name of For Humanity, and thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Okay, stop recording, right?